Here, we'll go ahead and start the rolls around. If you want to receive credit for being here, and even if you don't, please sign in so we know who was here.
No, let's do the one.
I know when you're ready. All right. All right, everyone. Welcome to IMT for First Responders. Our presenter today is Joaquin Misco. Joaquin worked for 8 years as domestic operations liaison between the Utah National Guard and the State Division of Emergency Management. He joined the Traffic Management Division at UDOT in 2014. And just let me say personally, I was very happy to see him there. He took over as our emergency operations coordinator. And up until that point, it had been John Leonard and I doing it other duties as assigned, and we were thrilled to see him. One of the additional things that we did include in the emergency operations position was some responsibility to help out with analysis and operational understanding of the incident management teams, the IMTs. And Joaquin has helped out quite a bit with that, and is here to talk a little bit about incident management.
Thanks, Glenn. Okay, so today's goal is to help you understand traffic incident management and look at traffic incident management through the filter of a first responder. You probably, who is not familiar with traffic incident management? By show of hands. So you all know how to set up a temporary traffic control point, correct? We're good there. Also, by show of hands, who has taken incident command system for multiple jurisdictions, ICS 300? Okay, so you're my target audience then. So you understand the TIMS role, but I'm going to help you to see it through a first responder role, through how a first responder, say UFA or a Metro Fire, might look at it or might have to understand it. So we're going to bring those two classic looks together. This is not the 4-hour class, okay? We won't be able to give you the TIMS credit for it, obviously, but we don't need to because you've already taken it. This is going to give you an overview of ICS 300 to some extent. We're going to look at the purpose of the program, define it in its context with ICS 300, and then combine the two items together. Okay, so just a really quick overview. We understand that there's a lot of people that are responding to the event on a yearly basis, but that tends to create more traffic out there, which leads to accidents. These primary accidents or secondary accidents after the primary. We have a great document in the MUTCD, the Manual for Unified Traffic Control Devices. Thank you, Glenn. that dictates, mandates, advises, guides on how to set up this traffic incident management system. This is the language that we use to communicate to our first responder counterparts. Okay, we're considering ourselves to be all equal. You don't need to create an incident action plan if you're dealing with your standard incident on a freeway, a fender bender or something like that. When you would need to use it is it's mandated, it's mandatory if there is hazmat involved in it. Did you know that? By show of hands, do you understand that you do need to have, or the fire department or whoever's taking control needs to have an incident action plan if the event is an OSHA type event, which is hazmat. And that's dealt with a lot in your emergency response guide. Okay? And in such a case, you're going to have a unified command. Okay? The idea behind a unified command is you've got several different jurisdictions that all have competing requirements, competing authorizations, or goals or objectives. In a hazmat event on the freeway, primary for everyone is going to be life safety, stabilize the incident. We don't want any of the material spilling out into waterways or contaminating any of the airways as well. Also, we're trying to mitigate any property loss if there's a fire that's associated to it, or if the freeway just shuts down, that represents or that constitutes property loss from our perspective, from a UDOT perspective. Everybody with me so far? Yes? Okay, good. So this little photo represents a DOT worker. This looks like a firefighter, and this looks like a state trooper. Okay, that's what our framework is going to be surrounded by. Okay, so we're going to run a tabletop here with the overall goals of keeping responders safe, trying to open this up quickly, and doing it in a way that's reliable and also interoperable between the different competing agencies. What do you want to? Okay, so we have some concepts. I'll just step out here. Some of the bigger concepts we understand the lane plus one idea. Everyone understands that? Go ahead. Go ahead. We're also looking at secondary crashes. That's going to be big. That's another way to stabilize the incident and mitigate further property loss. Go ahead. That the idea of protecting the queue, okay? That's a huge idea. That's a huge part of stabilizing the incident. Again, some concepts on the traffic incident management system, how that works, what it looks like. You've got advanced warning, the transition, protecting the site, and then a termination area, okay? And keep going. Okay, we've got a little, a quick reference guide, if you will, something that we're going to try and introduce. I'm doing this for the benefit of the camera. Something that we're trying to introduce across different agencies. So something as we're rolling up to it, maybe the firefighters are looking at it. It's basically that MUTCD outlay in just a little quick field reference guide, if you will. And it's got some other pertinent data on the other side. So who's responsible for what? We look at fire is going to probably control the incident space. Law enforcement has to consider, and these are supposed to be color-coded. I don't know does that look blue to you? It's supposed to be blue. Okay, law enforcement is going to look at things from a crash investigation standpoint. So the preservation of evidence is going to be primary in their minds. We as DOT, we use fuchsia because fuchsia is MUTCD colors for emergencies. Yes?
It's fluorescent pink.
Fluorescent pink, sorry. And our primary responsibility is establishing these advanced warning areas, okay? So really quick, right? Down and dirty. Go ahead. Go ahead. We all understand about the zero buffer, right? That's kind of outlaid in this as well. Avoid the zero buffer. Everyone can understand why. There is no protection for the worker between them and the traffic. Go ahead. Also, other nice zero buffer. Does anyone understand why that tow operator is working on that side of the vehicle? I mean, you can operate this from both sides. Does anybody understand why they're there? This is a classic example. Go ahead and build that out once. So what I understand is, even though they can work it from this side, they do it from this side in case the chains break and it's going to flip over. It'll tend to flip over on the other side. So actually, that individual is in a safer spot for them. So that's a consideration for that, for subsequent blocking and protecting as we try and clear the event. Go ahead. One thing, again, really quick, about our move over laws and our quick clearance laws, that we have one of those on the books, so we're protected. And trying to get that out to the public as well, so they understand get over. We don't need to create an entire traffic incident management scenario if it's just a minor fender bender. Go ahead. All right, let's get into the scenario. Go ahead. Okay, so here we are. We're going to direct you to the map. So this is going to be interactive. You're not going to be in your seats. If you want to move some of those seats back so we can get around this table, go ahead and come on up. What we've got is a very common scenario with regard to the westbound, southwestbound approach of I-215, which is going to transition into the southbound I-15. Does everybody know where that is? That spaghetti bowl? Familiar with it? Okay, so let's approach the map. I don't know if you want to... So what we're looking at here is, this is the tendency for these vehicles, these higher profile vehicles, to take this turn a little bit too sharp, right? And they flip over at about this area. Jeff, do you want to do the honors and be the wayward truck driver? So go ahead and, yeah, I'll put some stuff down maybe. Go ahead and approach that curve at a not good speed. Fast speed, and where's it, well, would you have gone all that way?
No, yeah, I'm a good driver, I would make it that.
So you right about there. So that's a really good blockage, right? That's it. That's done. Sorry. So for the benefit of the camera, the truck was approaching at too high a speed and wasn't able to take the curve, manage the curve, and came to rest at that point. Okay, so we've got in the scenario, Buddy, you want to help me out? And his name is really Buddy. It's not, I'm not being patronistic or anything. Okay, so who's going to be my law enforcement? Don't all rush the table?
Highway Patrol.
Highway Patrol? Yeah, go ahead.
You want to be Highway Patrol?
You are my Highway Patrol, so you get...
I'd like to sign for you, but if you want to make it up, that's good. There we have it.
Okay, this little widget here, that's you as the individual. This little token here, that's your vehicle, that's your equipment. So this is you, and that represents your vehicle. So as you approach, where are you going to take up a good position to respond to this incident?
From an investigation standpoint, I'd probably take a drive over.
Okay, so anybody have any comments about why that might be there? Yeah, so you're going to be out and probably walking around.
Find out if there's any injuries or anything.
Okay.
Being the first responder.
And if you know you're coming up to that, what are you thinking about immediately? Are you calling dispatch? Do you already know? Or do you want to give yourself some more time you're going to confirm that geographical location, yeah? Make an analysis of the situation. So an advance warning maybe? Is that what you're saying? Placarding? Oh, very nice. Very nice. Okay, so you're using your filter from Emergency Response Guide. Is that thing empty or what's in it, right? Okay, so I guess let's say for the sake of this, it will be some kind of hazardous material. Okay, so it's going to take some time periods. Go ahead.
I'll just be way farther back.
Okay. So.
It's that restriction, you start turning this way, I'm not going up there.
All right. So, would we do that then? Let's go ahead. Let's run the scenario.
If that's a hazmat fall, we're shutting that box down.
Okay.
Real fast.
Okay, great. So tell me how we're doing it.
If this is an explosion, we're starting down here at 33rd, and we're shutting.
an explosion yet. Maybe we've got some.
Okay, so
What they're gonna have to do first is just make sure that what they do have on there, what the wind directions is, how far you get, you know, on your, we have access to our.
Okay. So if I want to do maybe a wind arrow.
But this guy right here, the first one that's gonna respond, he's gonna give all this information. He's doing the windshield size up as he's coming into it, listen to dispatch, getting all the information he can possibly get before he arrives.
You're bucking for the A in the class.
Oh,
yeah, I'll get that back to you.
Go ahead. So you're gonna walk us through. So we got some. It's off, leaking or something.
It's leaking and it's saying hazmat material. We need to shut down some major roads here. We're gonna shut down I-15 at 53rd. We're gonna shut down I-15 at 72nd here. We're gonna shut down 215 at.
Okay, so you're making this assessment in your mind. Let's start making your calls now. Who are you calling?
I'm on the radio or calling the Highway Patrol dispatch and saying this is what's got to happen.
All right, so we've got.
Incident management would be out there. We're going to start shutting down some major roads at major locations.
I need some help.
Oh,
I need some more law enforcement. You want to deploy more of your law enforcement? You can come over here to your little deployment box.
well, deployment box.
Who's my incident management? Who's UDOT? Anyone? Anyone for UDOT? Going once. Yes, thank you very much. You've got your deployment box, okay, if you need cones or whatever. So you're blocking here? This is done?
We got to shut it. To match this map, yes, we're shutting down that. We're shutting down this direction right here.
Okay, go ahead. UDOT, you want to describe what you're doing?
Going to be setting up signs and channelizing to get everybody out of this lane, so they're not going to head down this way. They're going to head around this way.
Okay. Anything else that you're doing as UDOT?
Trying to make sure everyone else is safe.
Okay, how about information?
Information, be calling TOC, tell them what's going on there. They're going to get the cameras all going on, showing to look at the incident. They'll notify news, any kind of traffic report that needs to be put out.
Okay, so from yesterday's class, if you weren't here, there's an actual kind of a step action drill for that person. Everything you said was correct. The one thing I would add is you're going to let the TOC know that incident command has been established with Officer Thomas, okay, at this location. You're going to call back in about, 20 minutes. This is kind of a big area.
System update.
Give them an update, right? So everyone understands there's something going on. Now, who's next what's going to be deployed next probably? Fire. Who's my fire? Who's my fire? Anybody for fire? Kids in red. Come on, I guess you're my fire guy.
You're roping me into all kinds of things today, aren't you?
There's your apparatus. Give him his fire chief little button. It should be a little widget, just one of those cones. Yeah, give him a big.
This?
Yeah, that's you.
That's a widget.
You're the chief.
The chief?
Mm-hmm.
You're the man.
Where are you gonna go?
First, the chief should probably come down. He'd be
Well,
down.
you're probably gonna be. You're not the battalion chief. You're probably gonna be that first vehicle,
The first vehicle responds.
and you're gonna be commanding in that position. You're in charge until somebody else gets
Hazmat
there.
cleanup.
It's gonna be a hazmat event, right?
Yeah.
And Joaquin isn't usually in hazmat events that the fire takes lead.
At this point, right, you were in command, and you're still in command until somebody says otherwise. So you're controlling, you're protecting life, you really can't stabilize the incident, but the information is getting out. We're closing down the roads. For our benefit, I guess the police Highway Patrolman Thomas is there.
I'd imagine the fire, what'd you call him, the fire truck?
Fire captain.
Fire
the
captain, he shows up, he's probably gonna wanna go there very first to check out the medical for the guy, just to do check, and he's probably also wanna get classification 100% on what's on the ground.
What's in it. And if it's, if we're saying the wind's going that way, whatever's off-gassing or leaking is going that way. So are you in a good position to take up a command post?
Yes, because the wind's going the opposite direction.
Okay, and you figure you're far enough away for it? That's gonna be a consideration.
I'd imagine
Okay.
wherever he's parked at,
All right.
he's gonna be far enough away from it.
Usually, this is not entirely to scale, but you think of maybe about a quarter of a mile. I would maybe want to be a quarter of a mile, if not
Farther.
farther away. But
Okay.
well, for the purposes of this, I'm not a fire guy, so. All right. So who do you see so this is going to be, for all intents and purposes, this is the incident command post, right? And Captain Kent is taking over for Sergeant Thomas. I have incident command. You may not hear that, okay? Or you may. We would hope that you would. We would hope that that's going to be something that you do in a formal way. You're going to give him the size up. Hey, I came up here. Go ahead. Do your little handoff.
Truck rolled over, dumped, we shut down this road and this road and this road. Have fun.
I'll go
Okay.
get donuts.
And then, okay, so you'll be calling back either to VEC or somebody else, right?
Yeah.
Letting them know, I'm Captain Thomas. I am establishing incident command for, I don't know, what do they call this? Is this a
A rollover.
Newton's Corner? Is there a name for this area?
Oh, yeah, well, it's 215 south,
215.
Okay, so
westbound to,
I-15 southbound.
you might want to use less syllables in your incident name. Just saying. Okay, so you've got an incident command post established. Who don't you see at your incident command post? I see blue, I see red.
Don't see any orange.
I don't see any orange.
No,
Is that
no UDOT.
Is that concerning to everybody or anybody?
Well, we know that wouldn't be the case, because UDOT's gonna show up just to see what happens, so.
Okay, so who was my UDOT guy? So, yeah.
Yeah.
are they white? Is that
No, that's ambulance.
We don't have any, oh, there's
Down
one.
there.
We got lots of widgets.
Here you go, Joaquin.
Joaquin, what time of day are we at here?
Well, we can just call it now. Let's just call it 1400.
1400, so we've got three trucks typically at this time of day.
Okay. All right, so he's deployed 4.
I'll have one on each direction, channeling off, shutting off the roads.
And we
Nobody gets in.
want you physically to actually be part of.
Physically, I'll be up here.
So put yourself there. Get your widget.
Oh.
Well, that's a truck.
Well, I'm not gonna
Gotta have
walk.
You're not. Oh, brilliant.
Stand down. You're north.
Oh, okay.
We can all stand on that. Yeah. So yes, pull yourself. You don't want to be in there, but you want.
yeah,
This is
I'll
this.
park with it.
Okay.
Walk.
So we've got. Glenn is saying we probably only have 3 vehicles, so you might have over deployed your resources. Might
Well,
have.
one for each
But
direction.
I'll caveat to that: if we don't have enough IMT, who then will we call out?
The shed usually.
There you go, sheds. What does that mean? What does that imply, gentlemen? Ladies? What?
Freeway closures.
No, it implies you need to know.
You need to know your.
You need to know as much as he does. Can anybody stand in Jeff's position right now? Do you feel confident with doing what Jeff Reynolds does on a day-to-day basis? or Todd Abbott? Who can be a Todd Abbott and a Jeff Reynolds right now? That's a challenge. I know there's some big shoes to fill. Okay, you get my point. If I've made you think for 2 seconds, what in the world do they do? I've met success for this block of instruction, okay? Going forward now, as shed people, that doesn't sound very appetizing. It sounds like a good movie, the zombies. As our frontline workers, okay, you're gonna have to be able to take up that type of a role, right? Blocking traffic, controlling the points, and coordinating with that incident command post. Okay, so there we got that first person on scene. I'll direct you to the overhead. We want to do. It's really not. It doesn't build out very well here, but we want a safety officer, right? These guys will roll up with a safety officer. The firefighters will have a safety officer present. Somebody else will show up, okay? But we should also be doing the same for ourselves, right? They're not going to be checking for everyone. They may not think that. So we, in and of ourselves, need to be prepared to do safety. What other lesson, what other implied lesson do we have there? If I'm telling you, you may be the safety officer, Jeff's busy over here doing his thing, what does that mean to the next person that Jeff's going to need to turn to as a UDOT employee? What does that mean for that next person? Anyone?
You better have some background.
No, something about, exactly, something about safety, right? And we have these little cards, little flashcards that we can use as training aids to say, okay, I don't know anything about it, but I know there's a flashcard somewhere, and this is what I have to do. You take accountability for all your people, you figure out what the situation is, and make sure everyone is briefed on the protocols to deal with that, and you wait for maybe the primary safety officer to give you more instruction. Where's the nearest hospital? How far is the nearest hospital? Those types of considerations. And you're thinking of things now in this context. Somebody's going to be taking care of an operational aspect to this incident. There's going to be planning going on, and there may or may not be the logistics and finance part of it going on. That may happen someplace else. But right here, right on this ground, and not afterwards, concurrent, just not localized to this. So that's why that phone call was important, because he makes his next phone call up to operations. Operations says, we are going to, how long does this look like it's going to take? Now we go back 20 minutes and we say, fire chief, yeah, this is a big, we have to dike and dam stuff around here. It's a heavier than air type of a substance. It's going to take about a 4-hour cleanup. So go ahead and you've communicated that to the team. Now you know, as the primary UDOT person, and you promised to call back, so what are you going to say?
So I call back to TOC and report where everyone's set up, what's blocked off, how long it's going to take, what we're dealing with, and basically how we think we're going to take care of it.
Okay, and we talked about.
Oh, and time-wise, and report back again.
Okay.
In another 20 minutes.
Your time period, that 4 hours, that just started a whole chain of events up to headquarters, right? Because we gotta let Carlos know through our little link, our chain of command, if you will, and then we've got to do some other things. TOC, hand that over to TOC. TOC's your support. That's actually, we'll make Glenn because that's easier. TOC, what are you doing?
So, first thing, if I'm a TOC operator, we've got a 4-hour, it's a ramp closure, so we're kind of doing a little bit of overrun, but we're headed into rush hour. We'll probably call out a TOC liaison, which next session I'm presenting on that. So.
Okay.
That's the TOC liaison is going to start moving information internal to UDOT, And then the other thing we'll do is start to react in terms of traveler information. We'll start standing up folks to do Twitter. VMS signs will actually probably be the very first thing that goes out, is that we want to start letting people know that, hey, road's closed.
4 hours, right?
4 hours. If we've got the entire south interchange shut down for 4 hours, this is
This is a major event.
this is a major event. We might light it up as far as Wyoming. It's definitely going to be a big deal.
Okay, so in that sense, if I'm Jason, my recommendation to him is you get this other support staff ready to go. This may or may not go 4 hours. These guys may, how far off shift are they from changing?
Yeah, on that big of a thing, we'd hold them.
Okay, so we're gonna look at overtime?
Look at overtime.
You know, are they out of gas? Did they show up tanks half empty? Do they have all their PPE? Oh, you know, man, I just went out like this. I don't even have a vest. Probably not, right?
Probably not.
But let's say for the, you know, let's say it was I don't know, Corey Coolum that went out
Yeah.
there or something like, nothing, so he needs some support. So it would be a reach back, right? And not necessarily Region 2, it could be the TOC or it could be the complex. And they'll be setting up these other support agencies for you. So you'll have to communicate. Now you've got some other considerations. So you had a safety guy, then you're gonna have a planning guy or person, and then you're gonna have a logistics person. You're gonna start handing out these assignments so they can start spinning up the support that you're gonna need just for you. And then all the while here, what's going on is,
Bringing everything back to them.
very simply, right? You're bringing it back to
Right.
them, and they are creating, by federal regulatory guidance, they're creating an incident action plan. It's a full up, this is where we're at, this is who's involved, you know, down to the grid coordinate of where this is at, and who's in charge, and all these different branches, right? We've got a traffic control branch, which is probably going to be, who would take over traffic control? Is UHP going to do it, or are we going to do it?
We would probably, just work together on coordinating.
Okay.
Coordinate together.
Right, so somebody would be in charge of it. We'd say Sergeant Thomas is going to be the command of traffic control branch, so that's under that operational division. And then Chief Thurston is going to be, he's going to be the operations overview for this. So you are probably going to assign somebody else, or you're going to call back and get your hazmat team up there, because you guys rolled out with just regular trucks. Okay? Go ahead, buddy, let's see what we got. There's a couple of, build this out a little bit. Yeah, keep going. All right, so again, this has probably gone by the wayside at this point. We're taking everything, right? We want to try and conserve as much of the traveling public as we can, but in this case, safety rules out, and we're
Especially
gonna.
at the beginning, you gotta do your blow, like, you know, you gotta do your leave.
We could probably, after we look at it, they evaluate how bad the hazmat is. If it's not that bad, we'd start opening up this stuff. We're gonna start relieving some of these people.
Okay.
And that's really one of the key things that UDOT does on the scene is, you know, the fire guys will take everything and then they'll focus on the,
Right, they'll totally forget about everything else. It's not a
That's not
hit.
their pride.
It's not a hit on them. It's just that can't be their focus. So hopefully you get a liaison to work between the fire, and it's going to be that incident commander. If that person is worth their weight, worth their salt, then they're not going to get involved in anything but coordination. They're going to stay out of the response. They're not going to be doing hoses or anything else. They're out and coordinating only. That is, if they're not, then there's something wrong. That individual did not learn their ICS very well.
Fire's very good at what they do as far as I see.
Right, and so that coordination, and you'll probably end up talking with the chief. And the chief will then make that first guy the operations guy for that. Okay, so we talked about incident command post. There'll probably be a staging area. I don't know how flat this is.
It'd probably start right about here. If it was real bad, it'd probably put it back here a
Okay.
little bit more, but, yeah, it's.
So these are concepts that I'd need you to be familiar with. Go ahead. It went from a single command, right? You had it all, to then a unified command. So we see the three unified commanders here. They're all going to agree. Your priority is what at this point, UDOT? Sorry, my apologies.
Public safety?
Is it?
At that point in time, it should be, that should be definitely.
Thinking in your mind, though, in the back of your mind, what's Carlos and Jason, what are they looking at?
They want flow.
They want, okay,
Want to open as
there you
fast as
go.
possible.
And it
That
comes down to-
is your competing priority. Yours is the life safety incident stabilization. Yours is what? It's not donuts either.
It's securing the area.
Okay,
Public safety.
right, public safety. So it's not, I don't mean to break this down in too simple of terms, but that is our primary job, is to keep that lifeblood going. If it's stagnant, just as in a human body, you're going to get decay and death, right? And that's our property loss. That's what we're trying to avoid. So, but we're giving primary responsibility, or we're saying, yes, you've got it. You've got that primary responsibility. All the while, we can still continue to think how we're going to open this road back up. I mean, is it just going to be, bam, we're moving everything and just stuff starts happening? I don't know. I don't know what the backwards plan looks like. Let's see, hold it there for a sec. Allows all agencies to work together without affecting authority, responsibility, or accountability, right? So everyone in UDOT still reports to you, right? Everyone on fire still, or law still reports to you. And then you're reporting, and everyone in fire the same. Got it?
So it just goes up the chain.
That's called unity of command. The difference between unified command, what we just saw here, and unity of command, meaning that everyone has one supervisor to report to. Just because you show up as a UDOT and you show up as Highway Patrol, you're not reporting to him all of a sudden as your boss. No, you're still reporting up through your chain of command. Unity of command. That's a very important ICS term.
Quick question, Joaquin, maybe for Jeff as well, but who's in charge for UDOT on the scene here? And it's a little bit, I think I know the answer,
It's going to be
Charge of what?
UDOT.
but on a typical incident, I think we've made a determination that it's the IMT on scene
It is.
that is responsible for all,
Right.
you know, if the shed guys come out,
Yes.
they're expected to follow the lead of the,
Does everybody understand that? So even though you have, your supervisor might be different because you came from a shed, you're reporting to the UDOT person on scene who was there first and has the most knowledge of the event.
That being, it might even be your shed, this is your area, this is everything. But the way we go through it, we have the option to talk with Highway Patrol and the fire agents. We speak with them every day, so it's easier for us to communicate with them than trying to go through a shed foreman and such. So we basically come out with it that once IMT has established command there, that it would go through IMT.
Or a presence,
Or a
right?
presence, yes.
Does anybody have heartburn or questions or concerns about that? We can arm wrestle for it if you'd like. Okay.
I mean, there's the sheds, we've had this situation, and the sheds do exactly, if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, nothing's said. I mean, they're trained in this just like we are, and they know how to set up traffic control. But it's just easier for us to go through Highway Patrol and
Yes,
the fire
absolutely.
department.
And they know you guys
Yeah.
so
well.
the IMT does that mostly just because they are already.
Their familiarity,
The
correct.
familiarity, they're used to being those unified incident command.
Okay, so we're managing the incident together, and you've all established a common set of objectives. And the strategy, you may get to know what the strategy is, right, from these guys. Or you may not. If that's the case, good. If you can, try and push, you find the planning officer, right? The incident commander might be busy. You try and find that planning officer because that's the person who's establishing what's going on and timelines. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
just interrupt. I just want to back up just a little bit. The shed foreman comes out there, and, he would probably be involved in the command too. We like to bring him in, understand what his resources that we could use, and
So I would say in that case, if the shed foreman, who's a shed foreman in here? Anybody? Okay, so thank you for volunteering. So you've
He
got.
knows what he can bring to us.
You've got an
and what
IMT guy
resources.
here, right, who's basically the first guy that's on scene, knows the most about what's going on, and he has just confederated your shed, right? This is Region 2 IMT, it's not, right, okay, that's good. We want to talk through it a little bit. So all of your guys are basically reporting to him, but you show up, you need to know what's happening with my guys. You talk to him. I've got your guys. It looks like it's going to be a 4 to 6 hour event. We could use water buckets because we all rolled out without water. We could use, more fuel because some of us are less than a quarter of a tank, and we're running AC or whatever else. And you're like, cool. I will get you somebody, right? I'll carve off from my own hide somebody to come and help you logistically. And then also, if it's your shed guys, you're going to be thinking, okay, they're incurring overtime. Maybe one of them punched a tire as he was rolling through the dirt. All that other stuff. You're going to want to know, who is this getting billed to, right?
I just need an accident number.
Okay, that's one. I would also say, because we can do this, we have this established now. We have 5 codes that you can put down, OPM or ESS. Who uses what? OMS? And then, okay, primarily OMS? It's in the function code, I think. If you need to, Complex can open it up for you, but there's 5 codes for protection, prevention, mitigation, response, and recovery, okay? The first letter in that it's a 7-digit code. The first letter is M. M for emergencies. The second because E is equipment. Got you there, right? The second digit is 6 for the year. So we're in M6 right now. The different prefixes for protection, prevention, and mitigation are the first 4 letters of those words. So prot, prev, and MIDI. Okay? And then it goes by numerical sequence. So right now we're in response. Okay, response is actually M6, a series of numbers. It's just M6, 1, 1, 1, 1, and now we're on 4. Because our third response was actually Hilldale, ladies and gentlemen. Okay,
5
so
zeros and a 1 or a 1? Or
4
Yeah,
4 ones and a 3 for Hilldale.
but we had like 4 or 5 zeros.
It should have been ones. It's okay. The idea here is we want to track what we're doing. If this was recovery, if they want us to go back out, we're going to do M6, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and then whatever the recovery sequence we're in. Okay? Take that back with you. That's important to know. And so you're going to, you'll spin up with your person, your finance person, hey, we got something going on. We got to get out or get that out and make sure that's tracked. And you're going to report up through probably the region and up to Complex to say, this is what we've done, and we understand that and are coordinating and helping you with it. Okay. Go back up one.
Have
So
you
we-
got that information electronically somewhere as a,
Yeah, so Danny knows this from Region 2. What region are you from?
4.
Rick knows this, Brent knows this. Is it Marcy?
Marcy?
She knows it. I'm not too familiar with the other. Who's Region 1? Anybody Region 1? You'll get with Scott if you don't know yet. Region 2? I'm not sure who.
I think it's Garrett.
Is your finance person?
He takes care of all the OMS stuff.
Okay,
Yeah, Garrett
good.
Jensen.
Garrett.
We need to get that person trained. Region 3?
Lisa.
Anybody 3? My outliers? Where are you guys from? 4? Okay. So I'm more familiar with 4 because, well, we dealt with 4. Okay, so standardized on scene for the event. And this, again, ICS is a scalable thing. You don't need all of this infrastructure to support it if it's not required. So don't think, oh crap, who's going to be the The PIO, who's going to be the public information officer? Well, if you don't need it, then don't use it. Let these guys do it for you, right? Use your support structure to do that. You don't have to, you don't have to use or fill up every position. So it's a scalable type of system. Safety is paramount for all responders. You're trying to achieve all these tactical objectives by an efficient use of your resources. And again, our competing requirement is always going to be trying to push against this, what's going on here. Chief, when can we open up these lanes, right? The rest of the country is dying because, you know, we have a blocked artery here in Utah.
Most
They
of them
may
come
not
up-
care about
They
that.
come up and tell me, you ask me that one more time,
Time.
I'm gonna shoot you.
Okay, so some other considerations. And these are for people who don't know TIMS as well, but we'll go over them anyway. So this is about protective gear. What is the good protective gear? It's established. I think we're good with that. Go ahead. Lights. Anybody have issue with lights or lighting? What is the issue? What is that TIMS issue? You don't have to read the slide.
You get too much of it.
You can get too much of it. So consider that, right? Help these guys. They might not understand it. What is MUTCD, right? Well, Chief, it talks about how this is a science that's been perfected. You put too many lights out here, you know, people are going to get distracted and they're going to get blinded. It's not good. That's safety. If you say safety, they key into that, right? You start speaking their language, okay? Yep, that's what it looks like. Confusing. Go ahead. And obviously, this one you probably won't work together to clear the scene, but that's a consideration. It's one of those kindergarten rules that you might have learned. You know, you hold hands and do everything together. So it's not a tow responsibility only. It's not a fire responsibility only. It's an all-inclusive responsibility. Get the debris off. Help them out.
The faster it's off the road, the faster it gets open.
And
right?
therein lies our objective. Go ahead. This is a tow consideration. We didn't really have this in our scenario. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a Class D record.
Okay, so if you want it now, we're going back. So maybe if everything is done,
Right. Once fire gives us the okay,
go-ahead?
the go-ahead saying it's all safe, clear to go, we're gonna move that. And this can be mitigated by talking to the shed foreman, get a loader, push it over here. We can always work out, reestablish lanes and work off the side.
so at that point, now if we do that, everything's open. Everything's clean and clear. So now we have nothing left, right? It's just this big, ugly wrecked
Trucks in there,
vehicle.
yeah. And what,
So
we'll-
grab a tow, right? They're gonna be, it's yellow. What other
That
color
is
would
a
it be?
tough car truck. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a
So-
small one. It's not gonna take that big guy, but that's all right.
Greg, you got more?
Put 2 or 3 together.
You know, depending on how safe it is, and that's what we're gonna determine at that point in time.
Okay, so this incident now is primarily UDOT controlled, right? We may ask Highway Patrol to help us. Now this is all a UDOT, and this is our incident, and we probably shouldn't roll out to it unless we have a little plan.
Right.
Hospital, who's going to be Overwatch safety? What other support might we need? Still having those signages up, right? Accident at the turnaround. Use
Probably
caution.
still be considering whether or not we want to keep that ramp closed or open it up and then take it back down when we're ready to actually do the tow recovery.
Okay.
Just because you've got limited sight distance under the bridge there.
Okay, and then when you're calling tow, I don't know if anybody understands this or remembers it, they want to know what kind of vehicle it is, so they know what type of equipment to bring out.
Actually,
So
a
you
lot of
don't end
our,
up with one of these for that big thing.
and actually, Joaquin, a lot of our tow operators are telling us now they actually check the UDOT app, and if we've got it on camera.
They can tell them,
They
so
can
they can
tell.
make their own assessment.
In fact, if you're getting any communication from a tow operator saying, hey, can you give me a picture of it? Let the operators in the control room know, we'll zoom, we'll get a good framed shot of the incident on camera, so the tow operator can see it. Any place where we've got camera coverage, that can, if that tow operator's got a visual, they can bring the right equipment.
Perfect.
But in the outlining areas, I know Region 4, Region 3, they've got a lot of rural areas out there. You'll probably be the incident command over there. You'll be talking to all those people, because you don't have IMT, you don't have the resources that Salt Lake does. One day, maybe, I'd love to see it. But that person, shed foreman, should be involved with this command center. And that's probably what you're doing right now.
Okay, let's go one more. So a big thing about demobilization, it's always about checking in, communication. Let everyone know where you're going. One of our primary objectives is always to protect the queue, but we're protecting the responders as well. You're painfully aware of that requirement. Check in with that incident commander, and always make sure that again, these are ICS concepts that very practical concepts, right? Checking in, checking out kind of a thing.
Can I interject a couple stats here?
Go ahead.
The numbers they typically quote for us for responders struck and killed nationwide in a year, typically 1 or 2 DOT folks, 5 or 6 fire responders, 10 or 12 law enforcement, up to 60 tow drivers.
Per year.
So that's one of the reasons why we have the protect the towers while they finish up. Towers have taken a disproportionate amount of the hits over the years.
Yeah, because there's no one there.
Yeah.
There's no one there to protect
The one we
them,
left.
so.
Yeah, IMT should be, or the back vehicle should be the last truck that goes. I mean, when the tow trucks are out of there, we make sure that they've got everything and we all go together.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns, gripes, bonuses to give out? Okay. Well, to go over really quickly, ICS 300, I would highly recommend, especially if you're a tactical element, meaning you're going to be on the ground performing mission. I would highly recommend you acquaint yourself with those more advanced concepts of incident command. How incident command is established, how it's transferred, what are some of the subtleties to supporting it. Even though you might not be the incident commander, it's good for you to understand what roles and responsibilities other people are performing on your behalf. And those classes are readily accessible through the Division of Emergency Management website. You can look at those classes and sign up for them. They're totally free. They're given statewide, from St. George up to Logan and Vernal over to Wendover. There's classes taught at least once a quarter, right? It's a 2-day class. So it is an investment of your time, but I think it's worthwhile just so you understand these more advanced concepts and terms. And the benefit of the class is that you're taking it with firefighters, law enforcement, community members, and you actually bring to the table a lot more depth. So whoever has you in their class is actually gonna be it's to their advantage to have you in it. So think of yourselves as force multipliers. That should have impressed everybody. That was a force multiplier, like the jet assisted takeoff or something like that. Very, very important, very critical to have in that class with these other folks. So that's Glenn. I'll
right.
give it back to you.
So did everybody get a chance to sign up? Sign in on the sign-up sheet? I think that unless there's any other questions or comments regarding incident management, we'll break. And if you have questions,
Thanks for your attention.
feel free to ask Joaquin, Jeff, myself.
No, I think that's buddies.
That's yours? Thomas? Is this yours?